Good morning. So by special request from Sharon in South Carolina, she's asking for a video talking about my beardies, how I came to have them, what I named them, so on and so forth. Their lights have only been on for coming up on an hour, so they're still a little sluggish. They're not quite fully awake yet. But this is Petrie. I don't remember what his name was when I got him, though. It was a Disney character. I got these guys in May of 2022, and they were just over a year old when I got them. Now, so do the math. He's coming up on 3. You can see how little he is. The first 14 months of their lives were not under the best of conditions, which I didn't realize until after I bought them. I got them. I've always wanted bearded dragons, so when the opportunity presented itself, I jumped. I did a bunch of research. I messaged some people that knew about dragons, and it was like, is this a good price? Da 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 da. Excuse my mattress here, my mattress cover. But as it turns out, I way overpaid for what I got, because you can see these tanks that I have for them. They are 4 foot long, 2 feet tall, 2 feet deep. Okay. This is like a bare minimum for a full-grown adult bearded dragon. What they came to me in was 12 by 12. So 12 wide, 12 by 12, 18 inches tall. Very, very tiny. The pictures that I got when I asked for pictures of their setup were done in such a way that they looked like they were bigger than what they were. I asked all the right questions. I asked, if they're coming with food, what they've been eating, do they have their lights set up, da 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 da. I asked all the right questions. I didn't get the right answers. I didn't get complete answers, I should say. Like I said, they both came in a 12 by 12 by 18 tall cage, which is not big enough for 1-year-old dragons, let alone, not even. Anyway, bearded dragons are vertical, not horizontal. Other lizards, geckos, those kinds of lizards go up and down because they're climbers. They say bearded dragons are not climbers, but these rocks right here is their favorite place to be. Both of them, you'll find them on the rock all the time. But he does have a full tail. He's like, where's your finger, Mom? I'm actually surprised he's letting me hold him this long. He doesn't usually, he's kind of about being held. He thinks he likes to be held until I try to hold him, and then he's like, no, I don't like this. So he's actually cooperating with me this morning, and that might be because, we're just waking up, so still a little half asleep. See if I can get a close-up of him. He's going to start, not being cooperating, because my hands are starting to warm him up, so he's going to start getting a little more active. Hi, bud. Uh-oh. I don't know if I'm going to have a good enough lighting here. No. So you can maybe see the discoloration. There you go. It's some discoloration on his back. You can see his orange up here. He is a citrus. And you can see all the discoloration. He is going into a molt. So he will be shedding a lot of his scales and stuff soon. You can see the discoloration in his foot where he's already put some of his new stuff is there. Sorry, I tickled you. Same with his little front foot here. He's already shed his paw, or at least his fingers, but the underneath of his hand is still old scales. Hi. Yeah. So this is Petrie. Not only were their enclosures way too small. Oh good, I can turn your fountains on. I can turn their fountains back on. Because they like to hang out on their fountains and they've got the long tails, they drain their fountains when I turn them on, and it floods all their substrate. So they get to have their fountains on for like 2-3 days tops, and then I have to unplug it, let the natural heat of the lights dry all their substrate so that it doesn't mold. The only way to keep that from happening is to take their fountains away from them, and that's not very nice because they both really enjoy them. So in his cage, he's got his fountain. He's got this natural log here that I picked up when we went to Oregon on vacation. She's got one up in hers as well. A structure that I created myself, some fake plants, some various other things. Their substrate is a 50 playground sand, potting soil, yeah, 50-50 ratio of play sand, not you want to get playground sand so that it doesn't clump up and increase your impaction risk if they happen to consume any. And then it seems like there's something I'm missing in there. Is there a third component to the substrate? I don't think so. I think it's just playground sand and organic potting soil. Might be able to hear the rumbling. There's a train going by. Hi, Miss Ducky. Hi, pretty girl. Hi. Hi. Do you want to come out? Come here. Come here, your pancake. Oh. So this is Ducky. Her original name was Elsa. And I'm like, yeah, no. Because she's white, and it was little kids. The home I got them from had little kids, so the little kids named them after their favorite Disney characters. I changed their names to Petrie and Ducky because those were my favorite characters. And they were my kids' The Land Before Time was my kids' favorite movies growing up. So Ducky's tail, you'll notice, is stubbed. And that is, she got an injury in her previous home and lost part of her tail. They are not like geckos. Their tails do not grow back. So when they lose it, they lose it. You can see she's normally very white. You can see a little bit of her natural color up here underneath her chin. She is what's called a 0. So she's usually very white, but she also is going into a shed. So she's very dark in color. You can see on that back foot right here, the difference in, old shed and new color. She's always been a little on the chunky side. We're not sure. Whew. The train is shaking my tripod. That's a heavy train going by. And a lot of times, there have been several times where we thought that she was actually egg bound, because she's a chunk, and she always has been. She has been since I got her. Even as poorly as she was being taken care of before she came, she had quite a belly on her. When they came to me they'd never had fresh greens. They were living on pelleted and dried foods. They do still get, I have a bag of dehydrated crickets that I feed them on occasion. They prefer the live mealworms. We're actually right below, they're like right there below my tripod is on top of the tank that has their superworms in it, which is why it was shaking so bad, because it's a mesh top, train going by. They will eat the dehydrated crickets, but they prefer the live wiggly ones. So if I put both in, the crickets will be the last thing they eat. But just getting them adjusted to eating greens, fresh greens, was a challenge, because, you know, for the first 13 months of their life, they didn't have any. They didn't know what it was. So it was a trick and a half, and it took a lot to get them to eat properly. And a big part of that was getting their lighting fixed, as well as getting them into appropriate sized enclosures. Being in those 12 by 12 by 18s, they, you know, when I asked, do they have, you know, their lighting, she's like, oh yeah, I have a da-da-da UVB, blah, 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 or she rattled it off. And I'm like, great, perfect. What she did, what she didn't say was that it was one light fixture for both tanks. She literally had the light sitting on top of the tanks, which, if you have a strong enough UVB, I think it's like a 12%, you can have it on the outside of an enclosure. If it's a lower one, it's got to be on the inside. It might be the other way around. I'd have to research. I prefer them on the inside anyway. Here you go, girl. She's like, whoa. That was a lot, Mom. So yeah, and there's, needless to say, when I got them, their enclosures were wrong. Their feed was wrong. Their lighting was wrong. She had red lights going on a timer every night at nighttime. And no, you don't use red lights on lizards. Bearded dragons have a third eye right in the center of their the center of their head. Let's see. It's really hard to see because it's tiny, and it's meant to be invisible because it's there to help. So it's it's there to help them see their prey coming, you know, see the birds and stuff above them. So it's right here in the center of his head. But having a red light on actually can damage that third eye. And it can cause damage to, you know, their visual eyes as well. But it is really damaging to their third eye. So yeah, everything about the first 13 months of their life was wrong. And she actually bought them as hatchlings. So that, I mean, that just boggles my mind that they even survived long enough to come into my care, because by all standards, they shouldn't have survived that first year. They weren't even being fed properly. And the fact that neither one of them have metabolic bone disease, that's the only thing I would say out of everything that came with them. The only thing that I didn't have to throw out was their Repticalcium and their vitamins. 3 times a week. 3 times a week. Everything else pretty much went into the trash. But yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. I've reconciled with myself the fact that I paid way too much money for what I purchased, but I balance that out with the knowledge of knowing that they have a better quality of life than they would have had staying in that home. And hopefully the money that I gave them, they put to good use for their kids. But I don't know. She was, you know, she said she was going to stay in touch because she wanted her kids to be able to come and experience the animal life that lives around me. But I haven't heard from her since. I'm going to have to add some water to those first. Have to add some water before I turn them on, otherwise they don't flow so well. So I hope you like this little blurb about my dragons, Ducky and Petrie. They will never breed. I'm not a breeder. I don't know enough about them. I don't know anything about their genetics to even contemplate breeding them. I would not ever breed an animal without knowing their lineage, regardless of the species. So they will forever be in separate enclosures. Oh, and you can see that Ducky's got privacy shield here. That's because she likes to wall surf. If she sees people walking past her cage, she starts going crazy. And she runs back and forth and back and forth. So this kind of helps keep her a little calmer. Every once in a while, I think maybe I'll pull it off there and see. Where are you going, Petrie? Pull it off and see if she is better about it, but I always end up having to put it back on anyway, so I may just leave it on there. Hi. He's like, Mom? Mom? Is it food time? It is not food time. Probably going to give some baths today. They're both, I said, getting ready to go into that big shed. So I want to make sure they're clean before they do it. So probably give them both a bath today. He's looking at me like, what? What did you say? But thanks for coming along for this short little video. Feel free to shoot me questions about the dragons, about my dogs, my cat, you know, whatever video that's on here that you would see. If you want more information, just leave a comment below, and I will get back with you with that. So talk to you later. Bye.